You know how it goes. You bring home a new plant, give it the best spot, water it just right, and then out of nowhere, bugs or funky leaf spots show up to ruin the vibe. Total mood killer. But here's the good news. Not all houseplants are fragile. Some are built tough, naturally shrugging off pests and diseases while still looking amazing in your space. These green champs don't just survive, they thrive, even when conditions aren't perfect. In this video, I'll walk you through 15 of the best resilient houseplants that stay healthy with minimal fuss. Whether you're brand new to plants or just tired of constant battles, this lineup is your shortcut to a stress-free, thriving indoor jungle. Snake plant Hahnii is basically the poster child for tough houseplants, the kind that can handle neglect and still look sharp with its short, upright leaves shaped like little cups of green. This compact version of the classic snake plant doesn't just bring style to a shelf or desk, it also laughs in the face of most pests and diseases, which is why it's perfect for people who don't want plant drama. It tolerates low light, thrives in bright light, and barely needs water since it stores plenty in its leaves, making overwatering the only real way you could mess it up. The soil should be well draining, and once that's covered, this plant basically runs on autopilot. Fun fact: NASA even put snake plants on their air purifying list, meaning this little guy isn't just low maintenance, it's also quietly improving your space while asking for almost nothing in return. Chinese Evergreen Silver Queen is one of those houseplants that makes life easier while looking effortlessly elegant with its long silvery green patterned leaves that brighten up even the darkest corner. It's naturally resistant to many common pests and diseases, which means you won't constantly find yourself fighting off infestations or mystery leaf spots. This plant is super forgiving. It can thrive in low light, but if you give it medium, indirect light, it'll really show off its shimmer. When it comes to watering, it prefers the soil to dry out slightly between drinks, so there's no need to hover with the watering can. As long as the pot drains well, root rot won't stand a chance. And here's a fun fact: Chinese evergreens are often called good luck plants in some cultures, making them not just beautiful survivors, but also symbols of prosperity and positivity in your home. Jade plant Variegated is a true classic when it comes to hardy houseplants, and its green leaves streaked with creamy white or yellow give it a fresh, eye-catching twist. What makes this plant such a winner is how resilient it is. Pests and diseases rarely bother it, and with its thick, fleshy leaves, it can store water like a pro, so it won't sulk if you forget to water now and then. It thrives best in bright, indirect light, but it can also handle a bit of direct sun, which actually helps bring out the variegation more vividly. The soil should be gritty and well-draining, just like what succulents love, and letting it dry out between waterings keeps the roots happy. A fun little bonus is that jade plants are often thought to bring good fortune and wealth, so not only do you get a plant that's tough against pests, you also get a living good luck charm sitting on your windowsill. Madagascar dragon tree is the kind of houseplant that looks bold and dramatic without being high maintenance, with its long, slender leaves tipped in red that give it a striking modern vibe. It's naturally resistant to most common pests and diseases, which means you won't be constantly battling infestations or worrying about mysterious leaf damage. This plant is flexible with light, thriving in bright, indirect light, but still managing to get by in lower light corners, making it perfect for almost any room. Watering is simple. Just let the top inch of soil dry out before giving it a drink, and make sure it's in a pot with good drainage so the roots never sit soggy. Over time, it can grow into a tall, tree-like feature indoors, bringing height and character to your space. And here's the fun part: it's known for being one of the best air-purifying plants, so while it's tough against pests, it's also quietly working to freshen the air you breathe. Cast iron plant Big Spotty lives up to its name. It's practically indestructible, with broad, leathery leaves splashed in creamy yellow spots that make it stand out from the usual green crowd. This plant is famous for handling tough conditions where others would give up, from low light to irregular watering, and its natural resistance to pests and diseases makes it a true set-it-and-forget-it houseplant. It doesn't need much, just well-draining soil and water. When the top layer feels dry, and it'll happily keep growing without fuss. Bright, indirect light will keep its spotting more vibrant, but it can also survive in darker corners where most plants sulk. What's really impressive is how long-lived it is. People have kept cast iron plants thriving for decades, which tells you everything about its strength and reliability. It's the kind of plant that quietly keeps on going, no matter what, while adding a touch of charm with its speckled foliage. Blushing Bromeliad crimson is a showstopper with its bright green leaves that blush a vivid red at the center when it's mature, almost like it's wearing nature's own spotlight. Beyond its striking look, this plant is surprisingly tough, naturally resisting pests and diseases that usually bother more delicate houseplants. It thrives in bright, indirect light, but it can also handle medium light, making it versatile for different spots in your home. Watering is a little different from most plants. Keep a small amount of water in the central cup formed by its rosette of leaves, while also lightly moistening the soil. And always make sure it's well draining so nothing turns soggy. It doesn't need heavy feeding either. Just a light fertilizer during the growing season keeps it happy. A fun fact about bromeliads is that once they flower, they produce pups or baby plants. So while the main plant eventually fades, it leaves behind new growth to carry on the show, giving you a fresh generation of this vibrant, resilient beauty. Spider plant ocean is one of the easiest houseplants to live with, sporting long, arching green leaves edged in creamy white that make it instantly eye-catching. What makes it such a favorite is how tough it is. It shrugs off most pests and diseases and keeps on growing even if you forget to water now and then. It thrives in bright, indirect light, but also tolerates lower light spots, making it a flexible choice for any room. Just keep the soil lightly moist and let it dry a bit between waterings to keep the roots healthy. The real charm comes when it sends out baby spitterets on long stems, giving you endless new plants to root and share, which makes it not only resilient, but also one of the most generous houseplants you can own. ZZ plant is the ultimate low-maintenance survivor, with glossy, dark green leaves that look polished enough to brighten any corner of your home. It's well known for being nearly indestructible, naturally resistant to most pests and diseases, and perfectly happy in conditions where fussier plants would give up. This plant thrives in low to bright, indirect light, making it one of the most versatile choices for tricky spots, and it only needs occasional watering since its thick rhizomes store plenty of moisture. The soil should be well draining, and as long as you don't overwater, it's smooth sailing. What makes the ZZ plant even more impressive is that it can handle weeks of neglect and still bounce back looking fresh, making it a top pick for busy plant parents or anyone who wants green beauty without the hassle. Lace aloe is a compact succulent that brings plenty of personality with its spiky green leaves, edged and speckled with delicate white markings, almost like it's been dusted with lace. Despite its fierce look, it's one of the easiest plants to care for, naturally resistant to pests and diseases that often plague softer-leaved houseplants. It loves bright, indirect light and even enjoys some direct sun, which helps it keep its bold patterns sharp. Watering is simple. Let the soil dry out completely before giving it a good soak, and always use a well-draining mix to avoid root rot. What makes it extra fun is that, when happy, lace aloe can surprise you with tall flower spikes topped in orange-red blooms, adding a burst of color to its tough, spiky charm. It's a small but mighty plant that brings durability and style in equal measure. Pothos Manjula is a real stunner with its heart-shaped leaves splashed in swirls of green, cream, and silver, making every leaf look like a piece of art. Beyond its good looks, it's also incredibly hardy and naturally resistant to most pests and diseases, which is why it's a favorite for both beginners and seasoned plant lovers. This variety thrives in bright, indirect light, but can also tolerate lower light, though the variegation shows best with a bit more brightness. Watering is easy. Just let the top inch of soil dry out before giving it a drink, and make sure it's in a pot with good drainage so the roots stay happy. It's a fast grower too, trailing beautifully from shelves or hanging baskets, and even climbing if you give it a support. Fun fact: studies suggest pothos varieties can help filter indoor air, So this plant doesn't just look good, it's also quietly working to freshen up your home. Monstera Thai Constellation is the superstar of houseplants, instantly recognizable with its large, dramatic leaves marbled in creamy white patterns that look like a galaxy splashed across green. While it's definitely a statement piece, it's also tougher than it looks, with good resistance to most common pests and diseases compared to more delicate variegated plants. It thrives in bright, indirect light, which helps maintain its stunning variegation, though it can still adapt to medium light if needed. The key to keeping it happy is well-draining soil and watering only when the top couple of inches are dry, since its roots don't like sitting in soggy conditions. Over time, it can grow into an impressive, fenestrated beauty that fills a room with tropical vibes. A fun fact is that this variety was specially cultivated to keep its variegation stable, so unlike some other monsteras, you won't suddenly lose those starry splashes. It's designed to stay a showstopper for the long haul. Philodendron white wizard is a bold and elegant houseplant, with its glossy green leaves streaked and splashed in bright white variegation that gives it a crisp, almost magical look. What makes it even better is that it's not as fragile as it appears. This philodendron shows strong resistance to most pests and diseases, making it far easier to manage than many other variegated plants. It grows well in bright, indirect light, which helps keep the white variegation vibrant, and it prefers well-draining soil that's kept lightly moist but never soggy. Watering when the top inch of soil dries out is the sweet spot for keeping its roots healthy. With a little support, it can climb into a striking vertical feature, or you can let it trail for a softer look. A fun fact is that this plant is often considered a collector's gem, but it grows at a steady pace, so even beginners who want something rare-looking can enjoy its beauty without constant worry. Pencil cactus Firesticks is a dramatic and resilient plant that earns its name from its thin, stick-like stems that glow in shades of green, orange, and red, almost like fiery coral growing on land. Despite its exotic look, it's incredibly hardy and naturally resistant to most pests and diseases, making it one of the easiest statement plants you can grow indoors. It thrives in bright, direct light, which intensifies its fiery coloring, and it only needs water once the soil has completely dried out, since its succulent nature allows it to store plenty of moisture. A gritty, well-draining soil mix is ideal, and too much water is the only real threat to this plant's health. What makes it especially fun is how its colors shift with the season's deeper reds and oranges in brighter light, softer tones in lower light, so it keeps you entertained all year round. It's a bold, low-maintenance option that adds instant energy and color to any space. Coleus Wicked Witch is a striking houseplant that lives up to its spooky name, with ruffled deep burgundy leaves edged in bright green, giving it a dramatic, almost magical presence. Despite its bold appearance, it's surprisingly easy to care for and naturally resistant to many common pests and diseases that trouble more delicate foliage plants. It thrives in bright, indirect light but can also handle partial shade, and keeping the soil consistently moist but not soggy will keep its leaves looking vibrant. Well-draining soil is key, and a little pinch here and there encourages fuller growth, so you get a lush, bushy plant rather than a leggy one. What's especially fun about this variety is how its colors intensify with more light, making it a dynamic centerpiece that changes with the seasons. It's the perfect mix of toughness and flair, bringing a touch of gothic drama to your indoor jungle. Oregano Kirigami is a charming and hardy plant that combines the toughness of an herb with the beauty of an ornamental, featuring cascading mounds of green leaves edged with purple and topped by delicate pink bracts. Unlike many dainty-looking plants, it's naturally resistant to most pests and diseases, which makes it a reliable choice for both beginners and busy plant owners. It thrives in bright light and appreciates a sunny windowsill or a well-lit spot, and since it's drought-tolerant, it only needs watering once the soil has dried out, making overwatering the only real risk. The soil should be well-draining, and a little trim now and then helps it stay compact and full. What makes Oregano Kirigami extra fun is that while it's technically ornamental, it carries the herbal charm of its culinary relatives, so it brings a mix of fragrance, texture, and resilience. that adds a unique twist to any indoor collection. And that wraps up our list of tough, pest, and disease-resistant houseplants, perfect for anyone who wants the beauty of greenery without all the extra hassle. Pick a few of these resilient favorites, and you'll have a healthier, low-maintenance indoor jungle in no time. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with fellow plant lovers.